In this video, we're going to help you understand how to leverage rotation in the hips to help make sure that you get better ball contact.
The two movements that we think about a lot in our hips are we talk about internal and external rotation. So this is, the easiest way to see it is with your feet. If I take my feet and twist them inside, you can see my femurs twist to the inside, my hip joint internally rotates, versus feet going to the outside, femur opens up, external rotation.
Right.
And on that backswing, really that's where we're going to get a lot of internal rotation here, and that's going to, yes, influence what's going on at the trunk, but we have to remember that's coming from the hip joint and these muscles of the hip joint,
right,
as opposed to kind of over-engaging what our trunk is doing.
Okay.
Right? Now, with that rotation, I do think it's really important to remember we could spend a lot of times as a golfer trying to get into some of these positions, and it might just be that we don't have the range of motion at that joint that we need.
Yep.
And there's nothing more frustrating, I think, than saying, man, why can't I do it? I just can't get into those positions, and now I'm compensating at the trunk. So I think really trying to focus on making sure that there is a proper level of rotational range of motion at the hip joint, which again is not something that we do a lot of, but we should do more of, I think is a really key component of some of these conversations.
So how would I measure that, right? I mean, how do I know if I'm being hindered? Okay, so let's take a good example here. If I don't do any rotation here on my right side, you know, I reach kind of a level of flexibility here in my spine, and then it tends to go like this,
Yep,
right?
exactly.
So if you look on your video and you see this happening as you're trying to get to the 90-degree turn, notice I've locked my, I've locked that there. But if I allow that to rotate, then it worked.
Yep.
So how do I check to see if I have the right flexibility?
I think a
there?
decent, easy way to do it is, so there's Titleist, the Titleist Performance Institute has some cool tests with this that they call like the lower quarter rotation test. And I've been through quite a few of their certifications, been down to their facility. And so that's a test that they'll do a lot of, where with kind of one leg this way, they'll do some kind of twisting maneuvers on some angled ground. So their hope is to get you somewhere in the range of about 45 degrees there. Okay. So can I take this and can I twist this way 45 degrees or more? Okay. Can I do it with both legs, and can I separate, not again get everything moving this way, but again focus more on what my lower half is doing, kind of what kind of rotation that I get there. Because it's one of those things where when you see that in the video, yes, you know there's an issue, but is it that you haven't learned it the right way, or that your body is inhibiting those movements? And taking out the golf swing learning aspect and just testing some of those rotations, I think can be a really cool thing, an important aspect of that.
So as for an older golfer, you say, oh man, my hip is, maybe I had surgery, I'm old, or then I don't have the flexibility I used to have. How could you cheat, so to speak, right? A little bit to help to allow that pelvis to have more movement clockwise, counterclockwise.
Yeah, I mean, a super easy way to cheat is to just take that. I think, again, because we're this like sagittal plane, one directional world, we tend to think we line up our golf swing and the feet have to be perfectly pointed straight this way, perpendicular, making a 90-degree angle with our target. Yep. A really easy way to cheat is to just drop back and open up that right foot a little bit. And what that does is it's going to actually create a little more space. And honestly, anatomically, it's creating a little bit of an easier means to create that kind of rotation. So that's a great way to cheat.
I don't have to have my feet perpendicular to the target line?
No, you don't.
It's not against the rules of golf.
Definitely not against the rules of golf, right?
And the same would hold true, I presume, then for the front leg
Exactly.
as well.
I mean, that's a great way when I'm measuring forces in my lab and I'm trying to get someone to send more force to that lead leg earlier on and get that nice rotation. One of the easiest things you can do is just say, hey, take your front foot, flare it out a little bit, and they flare it out, and you see force improvements almost immediately.
So it's pretty interesting. So if I have my feet, completely square, and I can say, okay, I'm starting to get some end of range of motion here. If I flare that out, I don't know, 30, 35 degrees, I mean, it becomes so much more fluid.
Yep, for sure.
So as you get a little older, you might find that just flaring out, particularly on the lead side, where it's imperative that we not be decelerating, but we have a fluid motion to the left. Just flare out that foot just a little. You may find, hey, that's a lot easier now to get my shoulders turned and my sternum, past 90 degrees, and now my hands and arms can, be more fluid as they come around, right?
Well, and I think you brought up such a good point there. You said the word deceleration, which I have to jump on that with our older golfers, because for them, the name of the game becomes swing speed. And I think the last thing you want to do is lose all this speed that you've gained here because you're not moving where you need to, and then everything slows down. You want everything to be firing through there. So not only is that a great way to get yourself rotating here better, but you're going to see also some great increases in swing speed and better ball flight, longer distances.
Your body's pretty amazing. It knows that, hey, if I'm getting to the end of my range of motion, slow down.
Yeah.
And if I start slowing down, like right here, now the club head's going to whip past my hands, and I've lost my angle control of the blade relative to the shaft.
Yep.
Right, and who knows where the ball's going to go.
Yep.
So in a good golf swing, I think we could say a nice fluid accelerating feeling that you're still accelerating in that curve to the left is what you should be feeling at impact. And so if you're bound up because maybe you don't have the flexibility you'd like to have in your left hip, flare it out a little bit. You'll find that it's a lot easier to turn.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing that more as we see better video of golfers. You watch PGA Tour golfers there, and guess what? They're using the ground in all sorts of creative ways now. I don't think we're to that point where it's like feet don't move, locked to the ground, everything's square to the impact. And I've seen some videos of older golfers from kind of 60s and 70s, and it's almost like they were a little more free with their feet. Then we got really rigid with our feet, and now we're like, maybe it's actually okay. And so I love when you say rules of golf. Again, I look at it as rules of anatomy. How does your body works? And guess what? If I can do that with my foot to get a little more rotation through, that's what I need to do.
Yeah, very good. We have a lot more great content on our subscription video site. Just click on the link in the iCard or in the description below, and you'll get 7 days free access to a full library of content that'll help you with your golf swing.